Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul. And tonight we're going to continue our study of the Urantia life. And we're on section 4, paragraph 9. That's on page 548.4. So let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight that we might study this wonderful revelation that you've given to us and that we might learn something tonight and share it with others. And it might prepare us for the times to come, which we all have an appointment with. We thank you for this information. We thank you for this wonderful life. We thank you for your son, Michael. And we say this in his name, Michael and Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. I was going to tell y'all before I forget, we get started here. Me and my wife watched a wonderful, not a wonderful life, Defending Your Life. Again, Albert Brooks. Have y'all all seen that?
Yes, after you mentioned it, I purposely watched it.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was the show?
It's Defending Your Life by Albert Brooks.
Ending Your Life?
Defending Your Life.
Defending.
You would
Yeah.
like it, Gary.
Yeah,
Huh?
you would. It is just an amazing. It's got so many things in it that is a lot like what we've been studying the Urantia life. It really has, you know.
I appreciated it.
Yeah, we thought it was really good. It's a good love story too, but you need to go watch it. You'll be glad you did. It's entertaining, you know. Definitely an entertaining movie.
Give us other clues when you have them of things like that, movies like that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, give us other clues.
Yeah. All right, let's get started here. Rodney, would you take the first paragraph tonight?
Yes. The reversion directors themselves are not a created group. They are a recruited corps embracing beings ranging from the Havana natives down through the messenger host of space and the ministering spirits of time to the Urantia progressors from the evolutionary worlds. All are volunteers, giving themselves to the work of assisting their fellows in the achievement of thought change and mind rest, for such attitudes are most helpful in recuperating depleted energies.
Depleted. Yeah.
Energies.
Yeah. Although sometimes I think they're deleted.
Well, I was thinking.
Yeah. All right. So the reversion directors are a volunteer group. Okay. So they basically volunteer to go into service as reversion directors for a millennium. And they're from all the way from Havana natives, the ministering spirit and Urantia progressors, which is what we will be doing. And they all do this out of love for other people, you know. So that's pretty interesting. All right. Jane, will you take the next one, please?
Okay. When partially exhausted by the efforts of attainment, and while awaiting the reception of new energy charges, there is agreeable pleasure in living over again the enactment of other days and ages. The early experiences of the race or the order are restful to reminisce. And that is exactly why these artists are called reversion directors. They assist in reverting the memory to a former state of development or to a less experienced status of being.
Okay, so apparently it's very pleasurable for us to reminisce on past experiences. And I thought this early experiences of the race or the order, what do you think they're talking about by the order there, are restful to reminisce? So I guess what level you're on at that particular time, right? And so this helps recharge our batteries, get us ready to go on for the next step. All right.
Can I ask a question? I missed last Thursday.
Then you missed the
so
$100 bills I gave out then, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm always a day late, a dollar short, you know.
That's right. Okay, what's
But-
the question, Gary?
What's the, why are we resting?
Because it's normal for us because we're trying to progress, you know, and do things quickly as we can to get to the next level, that sort of thing. It kind of depletes all of our energies, kind of like we do when we're here on Earth, you know, and when you work all day long, you go home, you're totally exhausted. So what this does is help recharge those energies to make you feel like you can go on and do the next thing again, right? So that's what they're talking about. Apparently, by trying to do the ascension plan, it's stressful because you're trying to reach your goals each day, you know, the things you do. So that's basically what they're talking about. You know, you're kind of exhausting yourself doing that. So they want you to do fun things. They want you to divide your time halfway between doing your work and halfway playing, you know, so that you don't overwork all the time, right? Like we do. That's right.
Roger, I think the statement of the race or the order has to do with the type of being we
Type of being we are. Yeah. I
because
think-
mortals, there's non-breathers, there's
yeah.
all types
Yeah.
of orders.
And remember that this is these reversion director help all levels of beings all the way up too. So you might be like you may be on mansion world number 5, and it would be different than if you were on mansion world number 1, right? So you'd be of a different Urantia order because you'd be like on the 5th level of Urantia order, right? So I think that's what they're talking about here. Anyway, obviously there's some reminiscing to do even when you leave from one mansion world to the next, right? Because some people spend long periods of time trying to get off each mansion world, right? Some people don't buzz right through it. So, you know.
But they have rocking chairs.
Yeah,
there.
really, really.
I have a question.
Yeah, Jane.
This may sound rather stupid, perhaps, because I don't know. Are we still getting experiences in the mansion world?
Yeah, every day. Every day.
Our experiential it's ongoing forever. We continue
Ongoing all the way up through paradise, to paradise. And that's not it, Jane. That's not all. When you get to paradise and you become a finalitor, you still gain experience going back down and helping others do the same thing.
Yeah, you create new experiences continuously. Yeah.
Right. You might work with a different type of being that you never heard or saw before, right?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, Diane, would you take the next one?
All beings enjoy this sort of reversion, except those who are inherent creators, hence automatic self-rejuvenators and certain highly specialized types of creatures, such as the power centers and the physical controllers, who are always and eternally thoroughly businesslike in all their reactions. These periodic releases from the tension of functional duty are a regular part of life on all worlds throughout the universe of universes, but not on the Isle of Paradise. Beings indigenous to this central abode are incapable of depletion and are not therefore subject to re-energizing. And with such beings of eternal paradise perfection, there can be no such reversion to evolutionary experiences.
Okay, so there's 2 types of beings that don't need reversion, right? The paradise citizens and the power centers and physical controllers, which are part of running things, right? There's actually 3 types because the creator sons and any creator being doesn't need the reversion either, they're self-generating. In other words, they regenerate their own energies. So those three things do not need the reversion directors, but everybody else does. It's interesting that the Isle of Paradise beings don't need to regenerate either, isn't it? But I guess because they're born perfect, they have automatic regeneration of energies and things like that. So I just find that kind of interesting. Yeah. Gary, would you take the next one, please?
Okay, most
Oops. Gary, you just popped out.
am I still there?
Yeah, now you're back. Okay, try it again.
Okay, most of us have come up through the lower stages of existence or through progressive levels of our orders. And it is refreshing and in a measure amusing to look back upon certain episodes of our early experience. There is a restfulness in the contemplation of that which is old to one's order and which lingers as a memory, possession of the mind, excuse me.
That's all right.
The future signifies struggles and advancement. It bespeaks work, effort, and achievement, but the past savors of things already mastered and achieved. Contemplation of the past permits of relaxation and such a carefree review as to provoke spirit mirth and Urantia state of mind verging on merriment.
Okay, so if you listen to this, it sounds like going through the things we have to come is kind of difficult, right? It's not just an easy thing that we go through. So if you're looking to die and go to heaven and sit around and play harps and eat grapes, you're in a world of trouble, aren't you? Because it doesn't work that way, right?
It's kind of like going through SEAL training.
Yeah, that's right. It's tough. It's not something that's all that easy, right? But it's all possible for all of us, right? It's kind of funny, you mentioned that movie we watched. There was one little thing, and Jane, you probably remember this. They go to what's called the Past Lives Pavilion. Okay, the whole premise of this movie is that defending your life, what it's about is he's going in and they're reviewing his life like you really do with the guardian angels. And he's reviewing his life, and what they're trying to do is teach you to overcome fear. Well, if you don't overcome the fear in this movie, they send you back to Earth and you have to do it all over again. And people do it many, many times. Well, I enjoyed the movie, even though that's not right, but you could think of it as, for us, it's kind of like us going on to the next mansion world. If you don't do things up to snuff when they review your life, you have to stay on the same mansion world longer, But what was interesting about the Past Lives Pavilion is this: that could really be the case with your thought adjuster, because your thought adjuster could have been assigned to multiple beings before it got you, right? And these would be beings that either couldn't fuse with the adjuster or didn't survive. But I thought it was kind of funny, because if you could go back and look at past lives that your adjuster did, you would probably be shocked, right? Of who your adjuster may have been assigned to. So,
Al Capone, maybe.
yeah. Who knows, Okay. It was really funny. I don't know if you remember this, Jane, that when he went and looked at his past lives, and when they came out, the two were talking, and he said, "Well, who were you in the past?" And she said, "I was Prince Valiant." And she said, "Well, who were you?" And he said, "I was Dinner." He's being chased by a lion. I thought that was so cute. Anyway, all right, let's keep moving. Enough for the advertising for Albert Brooks. Rodney, would you take the next one, please?
Okay, even mortal humor becomes most hearty when it depicts episodes affecting those just a little beneath one's present developmental state, or when it portrays one's supposed superiors falling victim to the experiences which are commonly associated with supposed inferiors. You of Urantia have allowed much that is at once vulgar and unkind to become confused with your humor. But on the whole, you are to be congratulated on a comparatively keen sense of humor. Some of your races have a rich vein of it and are greatly helped in their earthly careers thereby. Apparently, you receive much in the way of humor from your Adamic inheritance, much more than was secured of either music or art.
So the the bloodline of Adam and Eve actually helped us become more humorous as human beings, right? Which is a
Is
good
that
thing.
why Jewish people are funnier?
Maybe so. Maybe
You
so.
got a lot of them in Hollywood,
You do. They got a
but
lot.
over the ages, you know.
That's right. Over the ages. That's right. Isn't Albert Brooks Jewish? Yeah, he's Jewish, I think. So, okay. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Okay. All Satania during times of play, those times when its inhabitants refreshingly resurrect the memories of a lower stage of existence, is edified by the pleasant humor of a corps of reversion directors from Urantia. The sense of celestial humor we have with us always, even when engaged in the most difficult of assignments. It helps to avoid an overdevelopment of the notion of one's self-importance. But we do not give rein to it freely, as you might say, have fun, except when we are in recess from the serious assignments of our respective orders.
So everything has its place, right? The humor is according to what you're doing. And it's interesting here that they talk about the human directors, the reversion directors that came from Urantia too. You see that? All right. Diane, can you take the next one, please?
When we are tempted to magnify our self-importance, if we stop to contemplate the infinity of the greatness and grandeur of our makers, our own self-glorification becomes sublimely ridiculous, even verging on the humorous. One of the functions of humor is to help all of us take ourselves less seriously. Humor is the divine antidote for exaltation of ego.
And boy, don't we all need that, right?
It is good to make fun of ourselves,
That's right.
just ourselves,
Realize we're not as important as we think we are, right?
or as smart.
Yeah, as smart as we think we are. That's right. We all have faults. Gary, we know you're perfect, but would you read the next paragraph, please?
I'm better than this. Okay. The need for the relaxation and diversion of humor is greatest in those orders of ascendance.
Oh, Gary, you popped out again. Hang on. There he is. He's back. Okay.
Okay.
Take it from ascendant beings who are subjected, Gary.
Okay, I'll just start. The need for relaxation and diversion of humor is greatest in those orders of ascendant beings who are subject to sustained stress in their upward struggles. The two extremes of life have little need for humorous diversions. Primitive men have no capacity, and beings of paradise perfection have no need thereof. The hosts of uh, Ivana are naturally a joyous and exhilarating assemblage of supremely happy personalities. On paradise, the quality of worship obfuscates, I believe that's right,
Obviates. It's actually
obviates
obviates. Yeah.
obviates the necessity for revision activities. But among those who start their careers far below the goals of paradise perfection, there is a large place for the ministry of the reversion directory.
I think that's us, right?
Mhm.
Beyond the shadow of a doubt. So primitive man had no capacity for humor, and perfected beings don't need humor, right? So
Huh?
we're kind of in between there somewhere. All right. Rodney, would you take the next one?
Okay, but I did read right before Gary,
Oh,
but I'll
did
read
you?
again.
Go ahead and read again.
Okay, no
Is it
problem.
in huh?
The,
No, she read. Yeah.
the higher the mortal species, the greater the stress and the greater the capacity for humor, as well as the necessity for it. In the spirit world, the opposite is true. The higher we ascend, the less the need for the diversion of reversion experiences. But proceeding down the scale of spirit life from paradise to the seraphic host, there is an increasing need for the mission of mirth and the ministry of merriment. Those beings who most need the refreshment of periodic reversion to the intellectual status of previous experiences are the higher types of the human species, the Urantians, angels, and the material sons, together with all similar types of personality.
Okay, so the higher you go, the more you need that reversion director to do you get to closer to a point of perfection, right? All right. This is interesting too. Jane, would you take the next one?
Roger,
Yeah,
so Adam and Eve were humorous while they
yeah,
were here.
that's right. They're material sons and daughters. Yeah, so part of their mission actually was to teach us humor, because you can imagine the barbarians that were coming along, they were like the early man, they didn't have much need for humor, right? So they had to be taught to be
So
humorous.
Adam, speaking to Eve, said, "You did what?"
That's right. That's right. What were you thinking?
What? Now what?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Jane, would you take the next one?
Okay. Humor should function as an automatic safety valve to prevent the building up of excessive pressures due to the monotony of sustained and serious self-contemplation in association with the intense struggle for developmental progress and noble achievement. Humor also functions to lessen the shock of the unexpected impact of fact or of truth. Rigid, unyielding fact and flexible, ever-living truth. The mortal personality, never sure as to which will next be encountered, through humor swiftly grasps, sees the point and achieves insight, the unexpected nature of the situation, be it fact or be it truth.
Okay, so it's telling us here, this sustained monotony of serious self-contemplation and the intense struggle for progress is not always a good thing, right? So you can see places like where there's monks, they go in and they stay by themselves for long periods of time. Then they go into rooms and say, these two monks walked into a bar. And I'm joking, y'all. Oh,
Yeah.
but you need the humor to get through life, basically, right? Not only in this life, but in the life to come, you know. And the more you can do that, the more you can keep things equal, the more balanced you're going to be. It's just that simple, right? You know,
And thus we use the phrase lighten up.
that's right. Lighten up, right?
That was what was so delightful about this movie too. It was
Yeah,
about very dry humor. And
it was
hilarious.
definitely humorous. All right. It was a good laugh, that's for sure. All right. Let's see here.
A minute.
Diane. No, Diane. Then Gary. Yeah.
While the humor of Urantia is exceedingly crude and most inartistic, it does serve a valuable purpose, both as a health insurance and as a liberator of emotional pressure, thus preventing injurious nervous tension and over-serious self-contemplation. Yeah. Humor and play, relaxation are never reactions of progressive exertion. Always are they the echoes of a backward glance and reminiscent of the past. Even on Urantia, and as you now are, you always find it rejuvenating when for a short time you can suspend I can't pronounce that word, suspend the I don't know what that word is.
Exertions.
Thank you, exertions, suspend the exertions of the newer and higher intellectual efforts and revert to the more simple engagements of your ancestors.
There we go. I need to turn my sound back on. I'm not very funny with my sound off, am I? All right, so we need humor, even though we started out of it being crude. And today, do you think it's still pretty crude? I would say so, right? Think of most of the humor we come in contact with. It's usually putting somebody else down, your husband, your wife, your friend, or something along that line, or making fun of other people, right? And that's not the kind of humor they're talking about, right? They're talking about good, sound humor. All right. Gary, would you take the next one, please?
Okay, the principles of Urantian play life are philosophically sound and continue to apply on up through your ascending life. Though the circuits of Havana to the eternal shore.
Yep, it stopped again. Hang on, Gary. I'm waiting for you to come back. There you are. You're back.
Okay.
Shores of Paradise. All right.
Uh,
You stopped on
okay.
Shores of Paradise there.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, Shores of Paradise. As ascending beings, you are in possession of personal memories of all former and lower existences. And without such identity, memories of the past there would be no basis for the humor of the present. Either mortal laughter or marantia mirth. It is these recalling of past experiences that provides a basis for present diversion and amusement. And so you will enjoy the celestial equivalence of your earthly humor all the way up through your long marantia and then increasingly spiritual careers. And that part of God, the adjuster, which becomes an eternal part of the personality of an ascending mortal, contributes the overtones of divinity to the joyous expressions. even spiritual laughter of the ascending creatures of time and space.
So even the adjuster takes part in this joy and laughter as we go up. That's pretty nice. Yeah. Rodney, would you take the next one? Dimension World Teachers.
Yes. 5 Dimension World Teachers. Dimension World Teachers are a core of deserted but glorified cherubim and seraphim. When a pilgrim of time advances from a trial world of space to the mansion and associated worlds of Urantia training, he is accompanied by his personal or group seraphim, the guardian of destiny. In the worlds of mortal existence, the seraphim is ably assisted by cherubim and seraphim. But when her mortal ward is delivered from the bonds of the flesh and starts out on the ascendant career, when the post-material or Urantia life begins, the attendant seraphim has no further need of the ministrations of her former lieutenants, the cherubim and seraphim.
Okay, let's clear something up here. We know that when we reach the third psychic circle, we know that we all get assigned 2 seraphim, right? These are your guardian angels, the seraphim. You're also assigned a cherubim and a seraphim. So really you have 4 angels take care of you when you reach the third psychic circle, from that point on all the way up to the mansion worlds, and then even after the mansion worlds. But if you do not reach that third psychic circle, you will have a group seraphim, right? That's what they're talking about here. All right, so this works for both the personal seraphim and the group seraphim. So when the group seraphim, when all the people she's in charge of have died and gone and waiting to go to the mansion world, because they won't automatically go on the third day. When all of those have died, then her cherubim and seraphim is released to go on to the mansion world to become mansion world teachers. Okay. Now it works the same way if you have a personal seraphim, right? When you have a personal seraphim, you have 2 seraphim, a cherubim and a seraphim. So when you die, as soon as you die, the seraphim goes with you to the mansion worlds, both of them, but the cherubim and seraphim are considered deserted. You see that? That's what this first sentence is about. But since they've stayed with you since the whole life, and they become deserted glorified cherubim and seraphim, they can go on to the mansion worlds and become these mansion world teachers. That's how it works. Make sense? Everything clear as mud? All right. Let's go on. Jane, will you take the next one, please? You're still muted, Jane. There we go.
These deserted assistants of the ministering seraphim are often summoned to universe headquarters, where they pass into the intimate embrace of the universe mother spirit, and then go forth to the system training spheres as mentioned world teachers. These teachers often visit the material worlds and function from the lowest mentioned worlds on up to the highest of the educational spheres connected with the universe headquarters. Upon their own motion, they may return to their former associative work with the ministering seraphim.
Okay, so there's several things that can happen. when they go have this embraced by the local universe mother spirit, right? They can go on to the Mansion World training worlds to become Mansion World teachers. They can also choose to go back and become a seraphim or a cherubim and a sanabim again for another being if they choose to do that, right? So they don't have to become Mansion World teachers. They have that choice, okay? So some of them will go on become teachers, and some of them will go back and become cherubim and sanabim for other people, right? All right, Diane.
There are billions and billions. There are billions upon billions of these teachers in Satania, and their numbers constantly increase because, in the majority of instances, when a seraphim proceeds inward with an adjuster fused mortal, both a cherubim and a sanabim are left behind.
Okay, so as we go up, as we go from Mansion World to Mansion World, our seraphim will most of the time go with us, right? But the sanabim and the cherubim are left behind. So that's when they have the opportunity to continue to be Mansion World teachers, right? Once you leave the planet, the two that were assigned to you are freed up. Okay, now think about this. Let's talk about for this just a minute before we get off this subject too. What do the cherubim and sanabim do when they're here? Okay, the seraphim, one of them is recording your life, just like in the movie. They're recording everything that happens to you from the time of birth all the way up till you die. Okay, so that means one of the two seraphim have to be on duty all the time. Okay, the cherubim and sanabim can act in multiple capacities while they're assigned to you. They can take over the recording job for the seraphim in case your seraphim, both of them, have to be called for some reason, for some other function, for a day or two or something like that, back to the local universe headquarters. Okay, so the cherubim and the sanabim can take over for them. They can also take over so that if need be, both the seraphim can recharge their energies and have a rest from taking care of you. Okay, so there's always at least two angels with you constantly, either both seraphim, a seraphim and a cherubim, or a seraphim and a sanabim. You're never without two angels, okay, because they always work in pairs. Okay, so they work along with the seraphim. That's why they call them their first lieutenant. All right. All right. Gary, would you take the next one, please?
Where are we at? The Mansion World
The
teachers?
Mansion World teachers, right.
The Mansion World teachers, like most other instructors, are commissioned by the Melchizedeks. They're generally,
That's right, Melchizedeks.
They are generally supervised by the Urantia companions.
Yeah.
But as individuals and as teachers, they are supervised by the acting heads of the school or spheres wherein they may be functioning as instructors.
You see the importance of the Melchizedeks. They kind of oversee all the training all the way up to the local universe headquarters, right? So they supervise the Urantia companions, and they also supervise the cherubim and sanabim. All right, Rodney.
These advanced cherubim usually work in pairs, as they did when attached to the seraphim. They are by nature very near the Urantia type of existence, and they are inherently sympathetic teachers of the ascending mortals and most efficiently conduct the program of the Mansion World and Urantia educational system.
Okay, so that tells you they work in pairs just like they did when they were on the earth, right?
Roger,
yeah.
Aren't they, the cherubim is like positive and the sanabim is negative?
Yeah, one's dominant, one's passive, just like the regular seraphim are. Right. All right. All right. Jane, would you take the next one, please?
Yes. In the schools of the Morantia life, these teachers engage in individual, group, class, and mass teaching. On the mentioned word, such schools are organized in three general groups of 100 divisions each. The schools of thinking, the schools of feeling, and the schools of doing. When you reach the constellation, there are added the schools of ethics, the schools of administration, and the schools of social adjustment. On the universe headquarters worlds, you will enter the schools of philosophy, divinity, and pure spirituality.
So obviously, each one of these schools that we go to are very extensive, right? They don't try to throw everything at you at once. And that's why some of them are in the mansion world, some of them are in the constellation, and some of them are in the local universe when you get there, right?
Roger?
Yeah.
It sounds like we have to unlearn everything. Our thinking, our feeling,
That's
everything.
exactly right, Jane. And the problem is this: we have to relearn everything because
Yeah.
everything we've learned on the planet is experiential. It's an experience, but we haven't learned it properly, right? So when we get to the mansion worlds and we start this training, then's when we start to learn things properly, right? And how to function. So it's really, when you get to the first mansion world, you're almost like a new little baby. You think about it, right? You start from square one and you go all the way through everything again, right? And learn how to do it right. It's not well enough to just learn it. You don't have to learn how to do it right. Dear, would you?
Those things which you might have learned on earth, but which you failed to learn, must be acquired under the tutelage of these faithful and patient teachers. There are no royal roads, shortcuts, or easy paths to paradise. Irrespective of the individual variations of the route, you master the lessons of one sphere before you proceed to another. At least this is true after you once leave the world of your nativity.
Okay, so we have to learn all the lessons. You learn them one at a time and you will move from world to world, right? Unlike here, we try to learn everything and then we try to move on. And most of the stuff we've learned is backwards, right? Yeah. All right. Gary, would you take the next one?
Can you move it down just a
Oh, yeah,
quarter of
sure.
a line?
There you go.
Okay.
How's that?
One of the purposes of the Mirage career is to effect the permanent eradication from the mortal survivors of such animal vestiges, vestiges, or what are traits,
Vestigial traits.
vestigials,
Yeah.
traits as procrastination. I'm good at that. Equivocation, insincerity, problem avoidance, unfairness, and ease seeking. Morantian life early teaches the young Morantian pupils that postponement is
He knows.
He beeped out on it.
technique of dodging situations
Yeah.
or of circumventing disagreeable obligations.
Okay, so once you leave here, in the life after the flesh, there's no time, it's no longer available as techniques of dodging situations, right? So all these traits that it's talking about here, which we've all been guilty of at one time or another, right, are the things that they try to permanently eradicate in our Morantia career, right? So they teach us how to do things right, basically.
Roger, it sounds to me that maybe we better take advantage of resting while we're here.
That's right. You know what they
Because-
say, enjoy your sleep because you're gonna need it.
Oh, Lordy.
But
I'm
there
working too much already.
There are
You know,
people who say, why sleep? You're going to be sleeping for a long time.
yeah, this is why you sleep. That's right. You know, it's kind of funny. Diane and I been married for many years now, and I don't know how long ago we started going to bed earlier and earlier. Some days we go to bed at 8 o'clock, and the reason being is, you know, we have such a full day. We get so exhausted by the end of the day. I'm ready to go to bed at 8 o'clock. I don't want to watch TV and I don't want to hear anybody else. I just want to go sleep.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about. Rodney, will you take the next one?
Beginning service on the lowest of the tarrying spheres, the Mansion World teachers advance with experience through the educational spheres of the system and the constellation to the training worlds of Salvington. They are subjected to no special discipline either before or after they're embraced by the universe Mother Spirit. They have already been trained for their work while serving as seraphic associates on the worlds native to their pupils of Mansion World sojourn. They have had actual experience with these advancing mortals of the inhabited worlds. They are practical and sympathetic teachers, wise and understanding instructors, able and efficient guides. They are entirely familiar with the ascendant plans and thoroughly experienced in the initial phases of the progression career.
So you got good guides, right? All the way through. That's what it boils down to, right? All right. You know, which we don't give our cherubim and cenobim enough credit, I'm sure, right? All right. Jane, would you take the last paragraph there?
Yes, many of the older of these teachers, those who have long served on the worlds of the Salvington circuit, are re-embraced by the universe Mother Spirit, and from the second embrace, these cherubim and cenobim emerge with the status of seraphim.
So they can graduate just like we do to the next level, right? So they can start as cherubim and cenobim and graduate through the second embrace and become full-fledged seraphim. Now, when they become full-fledged seraphim, they'll be what? Assigned as guardian angels, just like before, right? But this time they'll be the seraphim, not the cherubim and cenobim,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting. Let me see how that is. Okay, would y'all like to stop here and take off this next section next time tonight? Or you want to go on? Yeah.
I need to get off today because I have something scheduled, so I need to leave.
Okay, well,
7.
let's stop it here tonight and we'll take this up on section 6, Mansion World Seraphim Transition Ministers on Thursday. Okay.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
Yeah, all right. Let's have a short prayer and we'll get out of here tonight. Let me stop the share. Father, thank you for bringing us together tonight. Thank you for this wonderful book. Thank you for this information and preparing us for our next step into the mansion worlds. We give you the praise and we do this in your son's name, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
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 And thank you at home for joining us.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.